Speaking of Epcot, a fan favorite attraction returns, and in spectacular form, by the way. I mean, people are very excited for this to be opened right here. And Culture, you may have mentioned it before. I'm, of course, talking about Space. Oh, wait. No, it's Communicore Hall. Yes, from Block Mickey Diet, Communicore Hall returns following extended run for Goofy Core Hall at Epcot, October 2nd.
Oh no, no more parachute games. Oh
no more parachute games, unfortunately. Communicore Hall is back to normal at Epcot following an extended run for the Goofy Core Hall offering that was part of the Cool Kids Summer. Now, when we say normal, this was normal. So
MP.
Just remember.
MP.
Yes, exactly. While Cool Kids Summer ended September 1st, Goofy Core Hall kept going for a couple of weeks. Now, Communicore Hall has returned to that normal, as we were speaking about before. What makes this return to normal notable is that we are still very much in the thick of Epcot's longest-running festival. It's interesting that Disney has nothing planned for the space, breaking with recent tradition. They're talking about how Food and Wine Festival, as a flex space for the park. Previously, it was, okay, every single festival that we have will show up in some form or fashion in this specific space. And this will be kind of like a hub or a headquarters for what we want to showcase.
I just want to point out that this is utilizing one of Walt Disney, the company's most powerful tools. It is utilizing the power of imagination. Because it is a big empty space that you're going to have to imagine what they could have done with it better than this. I'm giving them a hard time, but at the same time, I'm pointing out that this space right here, the idea that we have Diet Communicore, just like Diet Epcot or Epcot Minus, has how it's been referred to in the past. Culture, you could probably explain the concept of Epcot Minus better than anybody else here.
Well, I mean, just the dearth of anything that came about from their offerings. Is that play area open and functioning well? Is there, it was like the offerings we were given at that particular presentation, which I believe was a D23 event or an expo event. No, we got nothing from that in Epcot that would have been anything. It was minus all the upgrades they promised as well. We still don't have, to my knowledge, a descent in Spaceship Earth. We don't have the play area, right? We don't have.
You're talking about the Epcot Play Pavilion. We got to bring it down for the kids who know what we're talking about here. Yeah. Epcot Minus, what I was referring to here, and you're totally right, is the moment at Epcot when there is no Festival of the Arts, when there is no Food and Wine Festival, when there is no Festival of the whatever we want to sell booths at. That is the moment when there is no extra event being added to Epcot and locally referred to jokingly, not so jokingly, as Epcot Minus or Diet Epcot. So now we have, with Communicore Hall, we have Diet Communicore Hall, the moment when there's nothing there. So they'll get rid of the Gooftastic Summer. And do you know how difficult it is to program a flex space when you're a $200 billion company? I'm going to say probably not that hard.
Yeah, but they don't know what to do with this. Anyway, they didn't know what to do with the air conditioning areas they had before that they absolutely insisted must be torn down instead of being somewhat refurbished. If they just refurbished the area, around the entry plaza there, I think they would have been happier. And so would the guests. I think once you get past Spaceship Earth and recognize that this amazing fountain structure that could have used a little dress up, a little clean up with, a limited time of walls surrounding it to, give it a little upgrade. Instead, you tear it all out and replace it with what exactly?
Nothing. That's the whole thing when it comes down to it. I get it. Okay, it'd be a nice thing to have these things there. The tour of Broadway shows, which I'm thinking that's an existing thing that they just said, yeah, let's stick that in the space for a while.
Yep.
If this is supposed to be something that is different every single time you go in there, okay, sure. Disneyland, they probably need something like that because it's a locals park. Updating continuously is a thing that you want to do. With Walt Disney World, traditionally speaking, that is an international park, meaning that people are visiting once every little while instead of all the time. We got a picture here from Ron that I'm going to put up of what this space looks like recently. This is not. Sorry, 1 second. I got 2 clicks to make in StreamYard right here. This looks like a community college with some flags put up in the cafegimatorium. And
yes,
And it looks like something they put a little budget spend into one time, and then it's just going to be left to do whatever. Those chairs, I wouldn't trust them if they were having visited Orlando theme parks very recently. I wouldn't trust those chairs if I was the size of some of the people I see going around there. This looks like the kind of space where they're hoping you have good Wi-Fi and lots of plugs, because you're probably going to, grab a half-rate coffee and sit down and try to finish your term paper. This is not something that I would associate with the Walt Disney Company, what should be the greatest theme park company on the planet. Sorry. Little salty on that one.
No, I mean, I agree with you, because the only thing that I'm missing here in this autogematorium area, or whatever you called it, which I thought was brilliant, cafegematorium, is that the ropes that should be hanging from the ceiling for people to climb during fourth period gym. I'm missing those.
Yeah, they have to rent it out for an assembly for the local high school, and then they'll return it back to your previously scheduled program. Vash, are you back?
I think I am. Hopefully, everything is playing just fine right there. I look at something like this, and I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit, Jonas. In that,
Go ahead.
I think of the parks on offer at Walt Disney World, I would say that Epcot has been, has been worked to cater to locals the most, with its constant festivals, with its constant changes that come on an annual basis for this specific park. I do think it attempts to cater to them specifically in multiple ways. I think that's why we got GO82, for example. And I also think that's why they've put an emphasis on food, drink, and so forth for this specific park more than any other. That being said, though, I don't think a flex space does make sense. It's just the execution of it has been really, really poor. And it's not just the space outside. I'm sorry, the space inside this flex space, but it's also the space outside as well. Let me go ahead and share my screen here for just a second to show you guys what we're talking about. This from Frank Makes Stuff on Twitter. Epcot, I love you. I really do, but there is no one watching this DJ. And he's just out there on the, I think, Jonas, they call this the Beyonce stage internally.
Yes, they do.
We're a fan of one right here. This is
apparently Beyonce's putting a lot of people off these days.
Can I just point out that Disney Springs has a huge crowd every single night for whatever they put in that space?
Yeah.
So, I mean, why are they doing this in the park? Why are they wasting time for this?
I don't know.
I don't show up to Epcot to dance. Whatever it is that causes people to dance publicly when the music is on, that's not something that there's a disconnect between whatever genetically causes humans to dance in public and me. So I don't get it why someone would be like, yeah, let's go to Disney and dance. No, I go to Disney for the things that I cannot do anywhere else.
Well, you paid to get in the park, first of all, and there is somewhat of, I would say, a probably fairly easy and reasonably priced fix to this whole situation, which is to take that area and cover it and surround it by a building of some sort or ceiling of some sort, but in a permanent type structure, so that you could extend to this, what they're calling Communicore, so there's much more space for an actual festival center. The problem is this Communicore was supposed to be a festival center, and why I as a local am so upset about it is because for years they used the Wonders of Life building as a festival center when it had gone down from the rides, right? And it was a very large open space, and they did all kinds of cool things back there. They had certainly they had eating kiosks, food kiosks back there, but they also had lots of cooking demonstrations. They would bring in professional chefs. They had chocolate demonstrations. They did all kinds of things back there. Once the parks went down from the pandemic and opened back up, they were going to rework that Wonders of Life space into the Play Pavilion, which of course never happened. So temporarily they used the pavilion that's between the UK and Canada as the festival pavilion. It's a temporary. It's a pavilion that's normally used.
It's the Millennial Pavilion, and it's basically a giant Quonset hut.
Yeah.
You know what they really need to do with this space? they need to put in a bunch of Sega Genesis consoles and just have them set up so that you can play whatever Sega Genesis game you want. I actually think that would probably draw more people in than.
That's kind of what they had before in the old Communicore.
It is.
Right in front of the Segway. Maybe they could have Segway rides here.
Look, the ride thrill of whatever it was, the fake, some of all thrills, the fake roller coaster bit. That was the first use in a theme park of a robot arm that eventually they lost control over, and now they only have 2 of those robot arms in the park in the least likely of locations over at the aquarium area, which is not the Living Seas anymore. It's like, the really odd perversion of Neo ride. So, but I just, they abandoned those arms, which was an innovation that they really could have taken advantage of, and just let their now fierce competitors over at Epic acquire them for Forbidden Journey.
Yeah, there's a pattern of doing the least amount, right? I mean, look, if Universal is going to be paying more for those hookah arms, let's go ahead and not do that. Then for this, it's like, look, you tore down Interventions or Communicore, this side of it anyway, and it's like, okay, what are you going to erect in its place? Stunningly, they went with a cheaper building to mirror the other side of this plaza right here, and have filled it with nothing for the express purpose of being a flex space. But like I was saying before, the execution is so terrible, it's so awful that this structure's normal, or this facility's normal, is an embarrassment. And it's really, really sad to see. And it's interesting because there's one park president out there who is suggesting that, hey, you know what? We have underutilized areas that we're now utilizing. But this space, I guess, for whatever reason, continues to be underutilized by the majority of fans out there. That's the consensus. And yet, right now, at least, we have nothing.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.